is there something that you specifically disagree with that Ruslan talks about? I know he hasn't written a book, at least I don't believe.
Not yet, which, by the way, you have me inspired to potentially write books. This man's written 5.
Actually, that was my only beef was I really wanted to have this conversation with you, actually, even before this. It's just like, I'm like, at least go in knowing what it is that I'm talking about. Because what I think happens is, like, guys get into like the influencer sphere, and you're also an example of this too. Sorry to say, but like when guys, like your show was primarily about money until you met me, until I ruined your life, right? Until I came in.
Technically,
here, right?
no. Technically, I had already done 5 relationship shows. Then you showed up, and I was like, "Oh, there's actually a fucking handbook for this."
Everybody wants a piece of the manosphere right now. Jedediah wants a piece of the manosphere. Everybody wants something of it, and it's easy pickings for a lot of people who are sort of this moralist bent right now, because they hear Kevin Samuels talk about things and they lose their minds. When Kevin Samuels passed away, it was nothing but hate from women. Nothing but hate from women. I mean, to the point where they were saying this is a gift from God that he died on Mother's Day, right? Man. And so I'm watching this. I'm going, damn, that is a lot of vitriol.
So are you basically saying that Ruslan is sort of using this as an opportunity to create views?
Topic du jour is what it is, okay, and not just him. I'd like a lot of people. No,
but I asked you specifically your problem with Ruslan.
My problem is this is like speaking from a position of ignorance, okay, like. It's and I brought this up with Jedediah as well. Like Jedediah will say like, "Oh yeah, I watched like 2 30-second clips of Fresh and Fit, and I don't know much about them." She prefaces the whole thing about that, but let me tell you everything about them. And I'm like, well, why should we listen to you if you're already prefacing this with the fact that you're speaking from a position of ignorance?
I'm not ignorant. No, these are 2 questions here. Would you consider Jedediah ignorant on that?
She is very much ignorant on the a lot of people are, but they want to jump in because it triggers this kind of moralistic belief set where it's like, well, that's not what I believe, and let me start talking about things rather than making. Thank you for reading my books, because that was the first thing I said. I said, at least read the book so you know where I'm coming from before we have this discussion. I'm glad you did. Thank you very much.
Okay. So go ahead. Was there a question?
No. Well, my point is,
it's not even so much. It's not even so much.
He's done a lot of content on this. You've done stuff with our friend Hafiz. You've done multiple. Like, I don't think you're ignorant to this.
Let me back into it, because I think that's a fair point. And it sounds, if she watched 2 videos and started making a bunch of anti-red pill content, I would agree with you. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. That's if that's
separate
what
issue.
happened, right?
We're talking about
want to do pick and pull. They're like, I agree with this and I don't agree with this, and then so therefore it's good.
So here's what happened. I listen to my audience. I don't know if you're engaged in your comments. I listen to my audience. I go into the DMs. And so whatever people are asking me, and what do you think about this, then I'll check it out. And I won't just watch Instagram clips. I don't even watch short form content. I go watch long form content, try to understand. So what happened was people reached out to me and said, what do you think about Kevin Samuels? Kevin Samuels.
That's where it started.
That's where it started.
How long ago?
When did you watch? Last May-ish.
Somewhere.
Yeah, last 2021.
He passed away
He passed away this past May. I was reacting to his stuff a year before that, like last summer.
Just from a timeline horizon, you've been researching or looking into the red pill community for a little over a year now.
So I checked,
and you've been doing this for...
I've been in the manosphere for 20 years.
20 years, okay.
And so what happened was, when I started hearing some of this stuff, it took me back to middle school. I grew up in San Diego in the 90s. You know, got arrested at age 11, and I was around a bunch of guys. What we were into was these books called by Iceberg Slim, called Pimp. And it was a lot of the same type of language and a lot of the same thinking coming from Iceberg Slim that influenced a lot of my close friends to go on to be pimps. And they started pimping, and they started making a lot of money doing that and buying houses and all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of these guys ended up getting arrested and going to jail for a long time. But the ideologies were very similar. And I was like, man, this is so weird that I'm seeing some of this stuff, to the point where I was, I'm in middle school in 97, 98 around these guys. And then this followed people into the early 2000s, when people were, I don't know if you remember this, Snoop Dogg, Bishop Magic Wand, they're dressing up as pimps. And
of course, if you ever saw the movie Old School, like, bring your green hat, bro.
And Iceberg Slim's fictional literature, or maybe it wasn't autobiographical, I don't know exactly what it was, influenced a lot of my buddies to take on this mentality. And I saw overlap there. Now, some people would say Iceberg Slim Pimp is red pill. I don't know if it is. Okay, so when I see Kevin Samuels, I'm like, man, there's some good stuff here. He says some interesting stuff. I think the holding women accountable, interesting, the way he talks about. Okay, what bugged me was that he kept professing to be a leader of singles ministries in churches, and then would turn around and say high value men should cheat. That is what pissed me off, because now you're positioning yourself as a Christian authority, and you're saying that just because you make a certain amount of money, you're entitled to do something. Not they do cheat. That's what I'm guessing. That's kind of what your position would be. This is what happens. People make money, exercise. No, he started prescribing things, and I don't know if he was trying to be polarizing or whatever. And so that is why I started commenting. And immediately after I started commenting to those reactions, because I said, well, these are the logical conclusions of this. The Nick Cannons, the Bill Gates, right? You're going to lose money. This is the logical conclusion of high value men should cheat. As a high value man, in terms of what my net worth is and what I'm, this is stupid. This is asinine to me. And then I connected with Hafiz 10 videos in, and that's when he kind of gave me some of the framework of what this is. And again, he calls it an ideology, you call it a proxology. I know that kind of triggers you. That is how I came to. I didn't come into this because I just needed to react to stuff. I came into this because people asked me, and I said, oh, there's some overlap with this whole, in the same way Andrew Tate is saying he's an Orthodox Christian. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. People are, what do you think about Andrew Tate's faith? That's why I'm reacting to it, right? Because I don't need the clicks. I could get views other ways. If I wanted to just get views, I'd just dunk on megachurch pastors all day. That would go crazy for my channel, right? I mean, you know,
true. It is
right?
true.
And so that's not the point. So that's how I got into it. And then I saw your video, and I said, well, let me check out this guy Rollo, research some of your stuff, and here we are.
Yeah,
two books later.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another, or if you want to watch the entire Saucecast, click right here.